So to start off today, we have a injury update to go over for Marshawn Lloyd, who got injured on a play yesterday. It seemed like it was from the Nate Hobbs hit where he went low, because after that play, Marshawn Lloyd was shaken up, but apparently it happened before the hit on that play. Both Matt LaFleur and Brian Gutekunst talked about the injury earlier today in their press conferences. And here we have first, Andy Herman says the injury to Marshawn Lloyd was not related to the contact with Nate Hobbs. It was a non-contact injury prior to the contact per Brian Gutekunst, which is probably worse. So apparently it wasn't the hit from Hobbs that caused the injury. It was something prior on the play, non-contact injury, which when you hear that, it makes you concerned, because you start to think, ACL, MCL, things like that, which are, long-term injuries that take a long time to heal from. Hopefully it's not something that keeps him out for a long period of time, but we have not yet gotten the official diagnosis. But to hear that, obviously that's not a great sign for Marshawn Lloyd. And here we have from Weston Hodkwitz, who says, LaFleur on Marshawn Lloyd, quote, kind of working through it right now, but it's unfortunate. He was doing great. You'd like to have him out there because he needs that experience, but unfortunately had to fight through a lot of adversity. In Marshawn Lloyd, drafted round 3 last year, there were a lot of high hopes for him coming in his rookie season. And last season, he dealt with a ton of injuries in camp and then in the season. And now already he's dealing with another injury. And so he just had a ton of really, really bad injury luck. And it's unfortunate when you have a player that has some really exciting upside. I do think that he would have brought, he still may, we'll see what the injury update is. He brings explosiveness and another level that I don't even know if all these other running backs here in the Packers running back room can bring. And so that's why I was excited to see sort of what he could do, and hopefully he'll be back soon. We'll keep an eye on this update. It doesn't sound great, but who knows exactly how long he's going to be out. And I think without Marshawn Lloyd, if he weren't playing in the season whenever it is, I don't think it's the end of the world, because last year we did see what Emmanuel Wilson was able to do behind Josh Jacobs, as well as Chris Brooks. They were both very effective in their rushing attempts. Looking at Emmanuel Wilson, he had 103 carries, 502 yards, 4.9 yard average. And then Chris Brooks had a lot less carries, but 36 carries, 183 yards, 5.1 yards per carry. So both of those guys averaged more yards per carry than Josh Jacobs. Jacobs was at 4.4, but then Wilson and Brooks were both at 4.9, 5.1. So the Packers still have a lot of solid options outside of Josh Jacobs, and so I think they'll be able to be okay. It's just you don't have that speed with that Marshawn Lloyd has, the explosiveness he has. Because if you look at Marshawn Lloyd in his final year in college at USC, he was averaging 7.1 yards per attempt. That is insane. That's like nearly unheard of, 7.1 yards attempt. He had 9 touchdowns that year on only 116 attempts, and so when you spend a third-round pick on him, if you're Brian Gutekunst, you're really expecting him to come in and be a guy that you can really rely on in a big way, because especially these days, a lot of running backs get pushed down the draft board. So a lot of starters in the NFL today, are drafted outside of round 1. So it's very unfortunate for Lloyd. Hopefully it's nothing super serious. It's hard to know right now the severity of the injury. It doesn't sound great, but hopefully it's something minor. And we'll keep an eye on it and sort of see the other news that comes out in the next day or so if they decide to release that information soon. If you want more Packers content, feel free to subscribe down below. You can also follow me on Twitter at LukeBeller3. You can also check me out on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. Search Sideline Scoop, and you should see my green logo and that stuff pop up. So feel free to check me out there. But that is all for now, and I will see you guys next time.